Welcome to the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. Are you over 40 and tired of struggling with your weight? Do you feel like you're constantly starting over with your nutrition and fitness? I'm Lil, a certified nutrition coach and former registered nurse, and I too have been there. At the age of 44, I decided I was done with being stuck in the vicious diet cycle. I became a nutrition coach and created the Feel Your Best Formula for women who are ready to do things differently. If you're ready to build a better relationship with food, get your energy back, build muscle, lose fat, and keep it off for good, then you're in the right place. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's build your formula for feeling your best. Hello, welcome to the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. Today is part 3 of our little holiday series here. Oh, I'm Lil, of course. I don't know why I say that every time. It's always me. Occasionally, I have a wonderful guest on here, but 90% of the time, it's just me. So, anyway, first of all, before we dive in, I want to make sure to invite you to my brand new Facebook group. I've been making a lot of changes in my personal life, and I'll share more about that probably over the next couple of weeks. And I've also been making changes with my business. After doing this for almost 2 years now, I have really learned what people want. I have learned that my method works. Obviously, not on everyone. I am not some narcissist that believes that it's my way or the highway. But I find that when I work with the women who are looking for all those things that we talk about on this podcast, that my method works. And most importantly, what it does is it helps you shift your perspective. It helps you stop feeling like something's wrong with you if you can't constantly be on a diet and starve yourself. And also, there's nothing wrong with you if you find yourself kind of stuck in this cycle of being all in or all out with your dieting, because unfortunately, this is the result of the messaging and honestly, the options and the choices that we normally have when it comes to nutrition and fitness. We end up in this cycle of being all in or all out. And I am so proud that the method that I've created, the Feel Your Best Formula method, has been shown to be effective, and most importantly, be effective in helping women like you just feel better about themselves, feel better about your body, feel better about your relationship with food, and feeling empowered to actually understand what it really takes to build muscle, lose fat, and ultimately feel empowered to decide what you want your day-to-day life to look like and what you want your body to look like. And that's what it's all about here. And I'm done. This is where I'm drawing a hard line in the sand. I am done chasing what other people are doing, especially when it comes to social media or podcasting or trying to build a business that grows exponentially and things like that. And I've made the decision that I actually want to keep my business small, and I want to have really close relationships with my clients. I don't want anyone to ever feel like they're a number. And I want to go back to my roots in many ways. So if you're new here, or you've been following along for less than 5 years, how I actually transitioned into the health and wellness space is when my kids were little. I started a little blog called Fresh Mama, and I would share ways to include more vegetables, more basically, I belong to a CSA, And I was like, what the heck do I do with all of these greens? And what are some recipes that I'm going to get from this local produce that honestly I wouldn't normally buy at the grocery store? And so I just started this little blog, and it actually started because my brother lived overseas, and he was, 6, 7 hours ahead of me in a different time zone. And he would be going to make dinner, and then he would think, oh, I know Lil has a recipe for this, or I need to ask Lil what I should do with these ingredients. And I woke up one morning and he kept telling me, you need to have a blog, you need to have somewhere to store your stuff online so that I can access it when it's the middle of the night for you and I'm planning, my day or my dinner or whatever. So I woke up one morning, and in my email, because this was like the days before WhatsApp and text messaging, he's like, here, I bought you a URL and you have a blog, and it was on Blogger back then, which just feels so ancient because I don't even think Blogger exists anymore. So that's what happened. I started this little blog, and then I opened a Facebook group for people to share recipes and ideas and all these things. And it was this wonderful little community. I would get local women together and we would cook together and try out the recipes, and it was just so much fun. And then I started working and I didn't have time to do all that. And then when I was working, I realized that I needed a way to work out, and I started doing home workouts. And then I started actually building a business in the health and wellness space. And when you're building a business, a lot of people tell you this is the way to do it, and this is what you should do, and this is how you're going to make money, and this is how you're going to do that. And what I've decided right now is that I'm really tired of being told by other people what my business should look like and how I should help people, because I've learned how to help people and I know what to do. And what I really want to do, like I said, is get back to my roots and open a Facebook group where we are just sharing ideas, we're sharing recipes. This is the number one thing that people want from my clients. They want quick and easy recipes. This is the number one thing that I help them with. Rarely a weekly check-in goes by where I'm not sending some sort of recipe or some sort of video on how to do XYZ to make things easier in the kitchen. And in my mind, I am sort of a hoarder of all those ideas in my brain. And part of what I do as a coach is share them with people. And I want to have a larger community, whether or not you're my client, where we're getting back to this feeling of connection. And I don't want it to be related to, oh, you can only join this if you're my client and stuff like that. I want it to be open for, especially for people who might be like curious about macros and have questions. It can be a community where, yes, I will be leading the group and obviously using my expertise to answer specific questions. I won't be doing any coaching within the group. What it is a community for people to learn more about macros. I'll be sharing, podcast episodes if someone has a question. And mostly it's going to be recipes, meal planning tips, anything that is going to make your life quick and easy to, nourish your body, make the changes that you want to change, and connect with other people who want to do that in a really reasonable, realistic way. Within the rules of the group, I've already decided we are not going to be talking about before and after photos. Like, there's not going to be any body checking or any talk using diet culture language or things like that. Obviously, I want to hear your successes. I want to hear, like, hey, I'm lifting heavier at the gym. I feel like my clothes fit better. I have more energy. I'm sleeping better. I haven't had any alcohol in, X amount of days or weeks or months or things like that. But I'm so tired of being part of health and wellness fitness communities online where all people are doing is sharing photos of their body. And I've actually left groups or hidden, like muted groups where that seems to be the only thing that people care about. And basically, this Facebook group is an extension of the things that we talk about here on this podcast. I want to be very clear. I won't be coaching anyone. I won't be telling you what your macros should or should not be. There will be a bunch of resources in there. And the whole point of it is just to create this welcoming space for women who want to learn how to nourish their bodies, want to improve their relationship with food, and want to learn more about macros. So this is where I started over 10 years ago by just inviting people into my world and sharing things. And I want to get back to that. So if you are like, yes, this is Lil, I want to jump in, I want to be part of this community, the link is going to be right in the episode details here. And just click the link and request to join. You're going to have to agree to the group rules and just kind of tell me a little bit about why you're joining. It's just like a quick multiple choice thing. And I'll probably go in there every day or so and let new people in. And the primary focus of the group is just going to be recipes, meal planning. We're not going to talk about weight loss. If that is something that you are working on, you can of course apply for coaching and use whatever resources you're using for that. There will be free resources in the group, but weight loss is not going to be the primary focus of this group. All right. And if you've been listening to the podcast, then you get it. You get what I'm talking about. If this is the first episode that you're listening to, you might be like, what is this lady talking about? How can she be a nutrition coach and not be telling me that weight loss is like the number one thing I should be working on? Go back and listen to more episodes if this is your first episode. All right. So if that sounds like something you want to be part of, join the group. If not, totally okay. But I just wanted to make sure to put it out there. So today is part 3 of our holiday series. We talked about the foundations of why you probably should be mindful during this time of year. We talked about that in part 1. Part 2, we talked about food. And now part 3, we're going to talk about fitness. And it's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode because it's just not quite as nuanced as the food stuff. And also, don't shoot the messenger here. It's also just like not as important as the food. If you're just trying to maintain where you are, the food, the number of calories that you consume every day is what dictates whether or not your body gains or loses fat. So what we're going to go over is how you can either maintain or adjust your fitness schedule, program, regimen, whatever, during the holiday season so that you don't get thrown totally off course. We're going to talk about what really matters, what doesn't matter. And this is just hopefully going to give you some food for thought. And my goal here is hopefully you will finish listening to this episode and you're not going to allow yourself to feel shame or guilt over whether or not you're working out and what that looks like. And maybe you're not keeping up with things the way that you normally do. So let's just dive in here. Now, first of all, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you understand that your overall activity level is more important when it comes to your overall energy balance than one 30-minute workout, 60-minute workout, whatever. This is shown so clearly to me when I use the Athletic app on my Apple Watch, and you can go in and you can check your calories burned. And I have to say the Athletic app, in my mind, is the most accurate, where my calculations and my food intake and the results match what I see in the app. But you can go in and just look on a daily basis how many calories the app is estimating that you burn. And there are days where I have a ton of steps, say 11, 12,000 steps, which is for me, that's more than normal. When I'm normally somewhere around 7 to 8 or 9,000 steps, that's, a bit of a bump up in my activity level. And I will see that my body has burned way more calories than a day where I did a 45-minute hard workout but only got 5,000 steps in. So, if your concern is gaining body fat during the holiday season, I just want to remind you that being really active and walking around, like if you're going to the mall and you're shopping for 3 or 4 hours, you're going to be getting a lot of steps in. And it's not that big a deal if you are decreasing your workouts during this time, just due to the season. So always keep in mind that your overall activity level is much more impactful on your body's ability to gain or lose fat than even if you were doing a 1 hour workout every single day and sweating your butt off. Like if you do that and then you're just sitting at a desk all day, it's not as beneficial. Most, again, nuance, everyone has their own individual routine and habits and everything. But overall, for most people, working out for an hour is not going to be as impactful as being more active overall and getting 8, 9, 10K steps in per day. Now, what is really important to think about as we are in the midst of and entering this busier season is, number one, acknowledging that things might need to be different. And if you're trying to fit in what you're currently doing and what your normal schedule is as far as workouts and fitness and going for walks, if you're trying to do that and you are just noticing that it is not working, that you are, say, maybe you normally work out 5 days a week and it is just not happening, you have too much on your plate, and you're starting to get into that all or nothing mentality because maybe you missed 3 days in a row of your workout, then this is where we just need to think, hey, do I need to adjust my expectations and really look at my calendar and my energy levels? Because it might not even be that you physically have things on your calendar that you need to go to. You might just have lower energy right now. This might be a time of year where you are struggling maybe a little bit with your mental health and your positivity, and maybe you struggle with really missing people in your life that you have all these memories of someone who has since died and is no longer part of the holiday season for you. So there's all kinds of things that can be going on in our lives in addition to just physically having your kids' school, winter holiday celebrations, or your work stuff, or your friends' stuff. And in our family, we have multiple birthdays. We used to have more, unfortunately, but my in-laws have passed away, and it used to be my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, my son, and myself. We had 4 December birthdays within, a short span of time that we were always celebrating, in addition to, the Christmas stuff and the holiday stuff, whatever. So, there's a lot going on physically, mentally, and I think for most of us, the holiday season brings with it a lot of changes, not just, we physically have more things on the calendar that we need to do. So if you just feel yourself kind of slipping into this, space where you don't have the energy and you can't keep up with things and you feel like you're just going to start to go into this, I'm not going to work out at all and I'll just start again in January. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I'm saying that it might be a better solution where you can feel more energized and feel better about your habits by just decreasing the frequency of your workouts. And you could certainly, if you're working out 5 days a week at the gym, maybe you could work out 1 day a week at the gym and then 2 days a week at home. Or maybe you can just switch to doing 2 to 3 total body workouts per week if you're someone that's going to the gym, and say breaking it up and doing upper body, lower body, etc. So there's so many ways that you can break things up and do things differently without seeing any negative impact on your overall long-term goals. It takes a really long time for your body to lose muscle, at least 3 to 4 weeks for most people. And if you know you're going to be starting back up again, that muscle comes back much quicker if you are someone who was training regularly beforehand. So, asking yourself, are there some changes you can make? Maybe you can't get out for a 30-minute, 45-minute long walk, but could you use a walking pad and just walk for, 10 minutes here and there? What I've been doing is using my walking pad before my workout. I walk for 5 to 10 minutes, and then I walk on it for another 5 to 10 minutes after my workout. And it's crazy the impact that that has on my overall activity level and steps for the day. And I also really like it as a warm up and cool down. And I watch a TV show, and I just am really enjoying that right now. So that's something new for me. I was not doing that before. I was just, certain days I would use a walking pad only if, the weather required it. Because also this time of year, if you're in the Northeast, the weather is probably going to be iffy. It's going to be cold. There's a chance we could have snow and ice. And you should have a backup plan on, how you're going to be active if walking outside is something that might be more difficult for you, and something that you may not do if the weather is not great. So, just looking at your schedule and asking yourself, am I starting to slip into an all or nothing mentality? If you're having the thought in your head, oh, I'll just get started in January, I'm just going to tell you that you are probably, I can't say this for sure, but there's a high chance you're going to start slipping into that mindset and those automatic thoughts of shame and guilt and beating yourself up. And I don't want you to do that. I want you to try to find a happy middle ground, something that's going to work in this season. And always just remind yourself that the all in or all out mentality of dieting doesn't get us anywhere, and it keeps us running in circles. And then when January comes, you're going to be sore. You're going to, that first workout you do, you're going to be so mad at yourself that you didn't keep up some level of consistency, because you're going to feel like it's that much harder. Okay. So now let's move on to other ways that we can think about our fitness and just get real about how that's impacting things. I just mentioned this, but using a smartwatch to just get the data. If you are someone that looks at your steps, your activity level, and all that information that you can get from your smartphone, I would use it to just get an idea. Are you normally walking 10K steps and now you're walking 4 to 5K? Well, if you're continuing to eat the way you normally eat, or eating more than you normally eat, then that change in activity level is going to impact your body holding on to more energy as stored fat. And over time, that's going to lead you in the direction that you don't want to go, where in January, you're going to be going, oh my gosh, I need to lose, these 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pounds that I gained over the past month and a half or so. So I do recommend, as long as there isn't, if you don't have a history of an eating disorder or disordered fitness habits, then using the data that your Apple Watch and your smartphone can give you can just be a really great objective way to know what to expect as an outcome. You don't even have to really be tracking your food. If you're eating, more treats and eating out and having more alcohol, that if that's not something you normally do, and then also your activity level is going down, then you're probably going to gain some fat. So, my recommendation here is if you do notice that your activity level is down, just be aware that you probably should adjust your food intake. And if you don't do that, then don't be surprised if you start feeling a little bit squishier, a little bit more bloated, and overall notice that things are moving in the direction that you do not want them to go. So use the technology that we have available. If you are someone that has a really poor relationship with tracking and using numbers, and if it starts to create obsessive and negative thoughts in your head, then please don't do that. Please, be an adult, be aware of your limitations. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. If that's something that you struggle with, this strategy just would not be the right strategy for you. So let's move on and talk about the tail end of, the holiday season, because that week after Christmas, I know that Hanukkah falls at different times. Right now, we just started Diwali. I don't even know exactly when that ends. And there's all kinds of other things going on. Hopefully, I don't offend anyone by leaving your holiday out. But what I'm trying to say here is there's sort of like an ebb and flow to the overall fitness industry, the diet messaging, and the response that we have as consumers. And I will tell you that that week between Christmas and New Year's is a big week when people start buying diet programs, signing up for the gym, and really getting this idea in their head that, let's make 2025 the year that I finally get my dream body. And there's all kinds of stuff that goes on in that week in between Christmas and New Year's, which is actually the week that my birthday lands on. So I'm very familiar with the overall mentality and energy of that week in the calendar. And that's when you might start feeling anxious. You might start feeling guilty or ashamed of the decisions that you've made over the past couple months. And I don't want you to feel that way, because always remember that we can always control our results. There's no secret. It's not about keto. It's not about intermittent fasting. It's not about some stupid gut health or quote hormone balancing bullshit diet. It is about the calories that you consume, the quality of the food that you consume, the fitness habits, whether or not you're actively working on building muscle. And most importantly, it's about your relationship with food, the scale, your body, and whether or not you are committed to long-term sustainable change, or if you're just looking for a quick fix and fad diet. And I really beg of you to let the rest of 2024 and 2025, can this be the year that you finally realize that all those fad diets popping up are complete BS? Let this be the year that you decide that you are going to create your formula for feeling your best, and you're going to stop listening to these people who shame you, who make you feel like you have to spend all this money on special supplements and ingredients and eating grass-fed this and organic that. None of that matters. It is elitist, it is privileged, and it's not what the science tells us. The science tells us that if we nourish our bodies with foods that have the macro and micronutrients that our body needs, if we eat the right amount of calories that our body needs based on our activity level and our goals, and if we do some strength training along with making sure that we're active, then we can control how much muscle we build, we can control how much fat we lose, and we can be empowered to walk away from all these harmful diets that are out there. And the fitness aspect of it, I think when it comes to New Year's and making resolutions, that's where a lot of people sort of overestimate. Number one, they overestimate what they actually need to do to get the results that they want. And I know that myself, I used to think I had to work out 6 days a week, right? 6 days a week. If I missed a day, even on that seventh day when I was resting, I was like, I still got to do yoga. I still got to do my stretching. I have to do my active rest day workout. I mean, this is how programmed that was in my mind, that the fitness was just so important to getting results, and working out 5, 6, 7 days a week was essential. Now I understand you can work out as little as 2 days per week. Yes, you have to make sure that you push yourself hard. You have to make sure that you are following a strength training plan that's actually going to get you results if you're only doing 2 days a week. But I understand that I will never again be in the trap of thinking that I need to work out 6 days per week to be healthy, to gain muscle, and to get the body that I love. Because you know what? I love my body right now. And my body right now, if I was to do a photo shoot, nobody's going to be like, oh my gosh, what does that woman do? What's her secret? That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for every day enjoying my life, enjoying my food choices, knowing that I'm doing what's best for my body, and knowing that if I do want to lose some fat, that is something I can simply choose to do. But at the end of the day, we all have to live in our bodies, and we have to make the decision about the relationship that we have with our body. And always trying to build a body that looks like someone else's, that is not going to be sustainable. And we need to decide for ourselves what we want our day-to-day life to look like. And ultimately, if we are not happy on some level in our body today, then we are never going to be happy. I recently have been thinking about how unhappy I was at my very lowest weight, and how I still felt that I had weight to lose, and how I picked myself apart in the mirror, how I worried about what other people thought of me. And now here I am in a larger body, and I don't have those negative thoughts anymore. And the thing is, if you were to ask me today, which body do, like, I felt like my body looked the same as it does now, even though it was so skinny. Does that make sense? Because I think that the way we view ourselves is a very personal level that other people looking at us can never, ever understand. And because I have found this comfort and this pride in what my body looks like, for me to decide to change it and to lose fat is a very personal decision. And it is something that I know I can choose at any time if I want to. And I also know that when I make that decision, I'm just going to do a little sprint, if you will. I've used this analogy before, but when we're in a fat loss phase, this is a sprint where we have to go all out. We have to be restrictive. Most likely you're going to have the best results if you have very accurate tracking, and you have to get in this certain mindset to have a fat loss phase. And that does require your life to kind of, you're going to be more successful at it if things are not chaotic, and you have the ability to control as much as you can when it comes to that fat loss phase. And during the holiday season, I know there's people out there that are trying to diet through the holiday season, and maybe that does work. But at the end of the day, if you can set yourself up at a time like January, where your overall, I would say the environment where everyone is kind of thinking of being healthier, it's just kind of a more supportive time of year. And during the holiday season, that's where myself, I'm a bit more relaxed. I'm just aiming to get 3 to 4 workouts in per week. I'm not tracking my food right now, but I am weighing myself so that I know that I'm staying in maintenance, and I'm being flexible. But when January comes, I know that I'm going to be working on those goals. And I think it might be helpful for you too if you kind of start thinking what you want 2025 to look like for yourself. Do you really want to let go of the fad dieting and these automatic thoughts and beliefs, which I will tell you from my own experience and from coaching my clients, there are so many thoughts on autopilot, like this food is good, this food is bad, I'm good if I eat this food, I'm good if I eat less calories, I'm bad if I indulge in this food, I'm good if I don't clean my plate. There's just so many things that we bring with us that we don't even question. And if you want 2025 to be the year that you kind of finally break free and start breaking free, I don't know if we can ever 100% break free of all this, baggage that we bring with us, but start moving in the right direction, because it's those automatic thoughts and beliefs that prevent us from having a good relationship with our body and a better relationship with food, et cetera, et cetera. So make a plan. What do you want your goal to be for 2025? And I would encourage you, if your first thought is, I need to lose 30 pounds, what if you start changing that goal to, I'm going to learn how to nourish my body? What if you change that goal to, I'm going to learn how to create a fitness plan that helps me maintain and build muscle? What if you decide that your goal is you are going to be more mindful of your drinking and maybe learn how to track your food for a few weeks so you can actually get honest about why you're getting the results that you're getting if you're confused about it? So there can be so many ways to form fitness goals for the new year. And if you've constantly had the same goal year after year after year, then I encourage you to start thinking about things differently and understand that you don't have to always have that same goal of losing X amount of weight every single January. All right, I hope that you enjoyed this little series about the holidays. I hope that if you are interested in joining my Facebook group, that you will click the link below, and I will see you there. Otherwise, I will see you back here next week for another episode of the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. If you enjoyed the information and discussion we had here today, then make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If you're serious about making changes with your nutrition and fitness, then you definitely want to join my weekly newsletter list as well. You can find the link below and more information in the episode details. That's all for today, and we will see you back here next week for a new episode of the Feel Your Best Formula podcast.